I never meant to look at his GPS, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. For months, Daniel had been leaving the house late at night, saying he was taking a drive to clear his head. Sometimes he'd come back hours later smelling like rain and cold metal. Other times, not until sunrise. He always looked calm afterward, almost peaceful, like whatever haunted him had been fed. The first time I asked, he smiled that too smooth smile. "You worry too much, Claire," he said. And I believed him. I wanted to. But last Tuesday, while he was in the shower, I noticed his car keys on the counter, with the GPS still active. The little blue line glowed faintly in the dark bathroom. It was tracking his last route. My pulse spiked as I pressed the screen. A rural road, 23 miles north of our house. Dead end. And then the label hit me. Fairview Cemetery. I felt the air punch out of my lungs. My sister, Lily, was buried there. I hadn't been there in over a year. I couldn't. The sight of her name carved in stone made my hands shake and my vision blur. The memory of her bloodied face, the police saying "wrong place, wrong time," still echoed in every corner of my mind. But Daniel. Why the hell was Daniel going there? I zoomed in further. He hadn't just gone there. He'd been there 3 nights in a row, each time around midnight. Stayed for 47 minutes the first night, 52 the next, 49 the last. I remember feeling cold. The kind of cold that lives inside your bones. When he came out of the shower, I was already sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at him. He smiled, towel around his waist, skin still damp and shining. "Everything okay?" he asked. I smiled back. "Yeah, everything's fine." But it was. That night, after he fell asleep, I crept out of bed, took the keys and drove. The rain started halfway there, heavy and unrelenting, the kind that makes the wipers useless. I kept driving, half blind, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The GPS line blinked faintly, leading me through back roads and farmland until the cemetery gates appeared out of the fog. I pulled over, cut the engine, and just sat there. Lightning flashed. For a second, the whole place lit up like daylight, rows of tilted stones, the black outline of trees, and that long gravel path cutting through the middle. I grabbed my umbrella and stepped out. The mud sucked at my shoes as I walked. Every gust of wind carried whispers, branches creaking, water dripping, the soft hum of power lines overhead. I didn't want to look at her grave. But something stronger than fear pushed me forward. When I reached Lily's headstone, I froze. Someone had been there recently. The flowers were fresh, blood-red roses, still wet with rain. And there, in the mud at the base of her grave, was a faint outline of a shoe print. Daniel's shoe print. Size 11, work boot tread, I'd know it anywhere. My throat burned, I couldn't breathe. Why would he? A light flickered behind me. Headlights. I turned, his car. Daniel's car. He was here. I dove behind a stone angel and watched through the downpour as he stepped out. No umbrella, no coat, just standing there, head bowed, rain soaking through his shirt. He walked straight to Lily's grave. He didn't see me. He knelt. And then he spoke. I couldn't hear all of it over the rain, but I caught words, pieces of sentences that sliced into me like razors. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It went too far. I loved her." My heart stopped. Loved her. The world tilted. He pulled something out of his pocket, a small metal box, and placed it at the base of her headstone. He stayed there for a long time, head bowed, before turning back toward his car. I waited until the taillights disappeared, then I ran to the grave. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the box. I flipped it open. Inside was a necklace. Lily's necklace. The same one the police said they never found. My vision tunneled. Everything went silent except for my heartbeat, pounding like a war drum. He killed her. He had to have. I didn't remember driving home. I didn't remember climbing back into bed next to him, his body warm and steady, like a stranger I'd never met. But I remember the thought that wouldn't leave my head. If he killed my sister, what else was he capable of? That night changed everything. I stopped sleeping. I started watching him, not just where he went, but how he moved, how he breathed, how his eyes lingered on things. The longer I watched, the more I realized I didn't know the man I married. And the more I didn't know him, the more I wanted to make him suffer. The next morning, Daniel made pancakes. He always did that after lying. It was his peace offering butter and syrup over guilt. He hummed while he flipped them, bare feet on the tile, hair still damp from his shower. A picture of domestic calm. I watched him from the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, trying to remember if I had ever really known this man. He caught me staring. "Hey," he said softly. "You okay? You look pale." "Didn't sleep well." He nodded, concern knitting his brow. "Nightmares again." I almost laughed, if only he knew. He set a plate in front of me and leaned against the counter. "You should see someone about that. You've been through a lot since Lily." Her name in his mouth made my stomach turn. I forced a bite of pancake, chewed slowly and smiled. "You're right, maybe I will." He smiled back, that easy, practiced smile that had once made me fall for him. But now, I only saw the monster beneath it. That day, I called the detective who handled Lily's case. Detective Ramirez, kind eyes, rough voice, a man who looked permanently tired. He sounded surprised to hear from me. "Mrs. Harper, it's been a while." "I know," I said. I had some new questions." He sighed. "It's been closed for over a year, Claire. We hit a dead end." "Did you ever look into Daniel?" Silence, then carefully. "Your husband, why would we?" "Because he's been visiting her grave. At night." Another pause, then a gentler tone. "Claire, are you sure you're not just—" "Imagining it," I snapped, losing my mind. He exhaled slowly. "Look, I'll check something for you off the record, but don't get your hopes up." That night, I waited until Daniel was asleep, then went to his car. The floor mat was clean, too clean. He'd vacuumed it recently. I opened the glove compartment and found his GPS history still stored. Scrolling through the past month, I saw more than the cemetery. He'd gone to an abandoned cabin outside Fairview, repeatedly. Always after midnight. Always returning before dawn. I copied the address, grabbed a flashlight, and drove. The cabin sat at the edge of a field, half swallowed by trees. The porch sagged under its own weight, the windows boarded up. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Damp wood and something metallic, faint but unmistakable rust or something worse. The door wasn't locked. It creaked open under my hand. Inside, dust covered everything except one corner where someone had cleared a space. There was a chair, a table, a single photograph sitting on it. I lifted the flashlight and froze. The photo was of Lily. Not a framed one, but freshly printed, glossy, like it came from a home printer. She was smiling, alive. The picture looked recent, too recent. Then I noticed the second photo beneath it, of her grave. Taken from above, like someone had stood over it. I backed away slowly, heart hammering. That's when I saw the small recorder sitting beside the photos. I pressed play. A burst of static, then his voice. Daniel's voice. "Lily, I can't keep doing this. I see you everywhere, in her face, in her voice. I thought burying you would make it stop." I stopped breathing. But she knows now. Claire knows. I can see it in her eyes. I dropped the recorder. It clattered to the floor, the sound echoing in the emptiness. I turned to leave, but headlights flashed through the slats of the boarded window. Daniel's car. He was here. I ran through the back door, into the trees. Branches clawed at my arms, the ground slick with mud. I didn't stop until I saw the highway lights in the distance. I waited there, crouched behind a tree, as he entered the cabin. The faint beam of his flashlight moved across the window. He was searching. When he finally came back out, he was holding the recorder. And he was smiling. I didn't go home that night. I stayed in a motel off the interstate, sitting on the edge of the bed, replaying every memory I'd ever had of Lily and Daniel together. The way they laughed at inside jokes. The way she blushed when he complimented her cooking. The night before her death, when I saw them talking outside, whispering, and she looked guilty when she caught me watching. It all fit now, every missing piece. I was the wife, she was the secret. And Daniel, he was the reason she was gone. But if he thought I'd just fall apart, he didn't know me at all. Detective Ramirez called 2 days later. "Claire, you might want to sit down," he said. "What is it?" "We ran a search like you asked. You were right. Your husband's car GPS was recorded near Lily's place the night she died, about an hour before the 911 call came in." My hand tightened around the phone. "And you missed that before." He hesitated. "The data didn't sync to our system until after the case closed. It slipped through." "Slipped through," I repeated. "That's convenient." "Claire, I'm sorry. I'll reopen it, but it could take time." I hung up before he could finish. Time. Daniel didn't deserve time. He deserved to lose everything. That evening, Daniel came home early. He kissed my cheek, his lips cold, and poured himself a drink. "You've been quiet lately," he said. "Everything okay?" I smiled. "I think I just need a change." He raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" "Maybe a little trip, just the two of us, somewhere peaceful." He smiled, that same charming grin that used to melt me. "I'd like that." So we planned it. A weekend getaway to the mountains. A cabin by a lake, isolated, no neighbors, no cell signal. Exactly the kind of place. No one would hear him scream. The lake was still when we arrived, so still that the reflection of the pines looked like bars on black glass. Daniel unloaded the bags, whistling under his breath. I watched him from the porch and counted his steps. I had a rhythm to keep myself calm. 4 steps to the trunk, 6 back to the door. Inside, the cabin smelled of cedar and dust. 2 rooms, 1 door that didn't quite close all the way. A fireplace, cold and waiting. He said he'd go chop wood. I waited until the screen door creaked shut behind him, then opened my bag. Inside, a small digital recorder, an envelope with Ramirez's name on it, and the little metal box from Lily's grave. I pressed record. "If you find this, detective, it's all here. What he did to Lily, what he's done to me." The wind outside changed pitch, like the forest was holding its breath. When Daniel came back, he smelled like smoke and wet pine. "Fire going," he said. "Dinner in an hour." "Perfect," I said, smiling. We ate quietly. I kept my hands steady, even as my heart sprinted. Halfway through the meal, he said, "You've been different lately, distant." I met his eyes. "Maybe I finally see you clearly." He frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" I reached into my pocket, set the necklace on the table. Lily's necklace. He froze. For a full 10 seconds, the world stopped moving. Then, "Where did you get that?" "You tell me." His jaw worked. "Claire." "No," I said, standing. "Not this time." I walked to the fireplace and threw the metal box into the flames. It hissed, sparks jumping. "I know what you did to her." He stood slowly, hands flat on the table. "You don't know anything." "Oh, but I do. I found the cabin, Daniel, the photos, the recordings." For the first time, his mask cracked. "You shouldn't have gone there." The words were quiet, almost tender, but the look in his eyes made every hair on my body rise. Later, when the storm came, it hit hard, rain slamming the roof, thunder shaking the windows. Daniel said he was going to check the generator. I let him go. While he was outside, I slipped the recorder under the couch cushion, still running. When he came back in, drenched, the lights flickered and died. Only the fire lit his face, half light, half shadow. "Funny," he said softly, "how you never really knew your sister." "What's that supposed to mean?" "She wasn't as innocent as you think. She liked danger. She liked—" "Stop," I said. He smiled. "She told me she was going to tell you about us, said you never forgive her. I told her not to, we argued. She slipped. It was an accident." Rain hammered the roof. The fire cracked. I stared at him, feeling something inside me detach, a final thread snapping. An accident, I repeated. He nodded. You have to believe me. I took a long breath. I believe you. His shoulders loosened. You do. Yes, I said, reaching into my coat. That's why I called the police before we left. He blinked. The GPS led them here too, I said. Every trip you took, every midnight visit. They're probably halfway up the mountain right now. He looked toward the window, panic flickering. You're lying. Am I? By the time the sirens cut through the storm, the fire had burned down to embers. Daniel was sitting on the floor, face in his hands, whispering her name over and over. When they cuffed him, he didn't resist. Ramirez met my eyes as they led Daniel out. We found the rest, he said quietly. The recordings, the photos, it's over. I nodded, but it didn't feel over. Not yet. Weeks later, I visited Lily's grave. The grass had grown back. The rain had washed the mud away. I placed a single rose there, white this time. I did it, I whispered. He'll never hurt anyone again. The wind picked up, scattering petals across the ground. For a second, I thought I heard her laugh, the soft, familiar sound that used to fill my house. Then it was gone. I turned to leave, and that's when I saw it. A fresh set of flowers, blood-red roses. Not from me. Tucked beneath them was a card, sealed in plastic to protect it from the rain. My name writ in Daniel's handwriting. I opened it with trembling hands. You got the wrong person. I read the card again. You got the wrong person. At first I thought it was another of Daniel's games, a final jab before the trial. But the handwriting was too clean, too deliberate. It looked written after he'd been arrested. The guards had told me he wasn't allowed pens. I took the note to Detective Ramirez. He frowned, turning it under the light. This wasn't written in the jail, he said. Inks from a common fountain pen, the kind you'd buy in a bookstore. So somebody put it there for him. Or for you, he said quietly. That night I couldn't sleep. The words kept repeating, each one colder than the last. You got the wrong person. I opened my laptop and went through every old photo of Lily I owned. Birthdays, beach trips, the day I introduced her to Daniel. In one picture, they were laughing at something behind me. I zoomed in. A reflection in the mirror behind them showed a third person. Me, smiling, holding the camera. And in that moment, I remembered the fight, the last one I ever had with Lily. She'd come over crying, said she was ending things with Daniel, that she'd tell me everything. I told her not to ruin my marriage. The rest came back in flashes. The rain, the struggle at the top of the stairs, the sound of her head hitting the step. Not an image, a feeling, a weight. For a long time, I just sat there, hearing the sound of my own breathing. The next morning, I drove back to the lake cabin, the one where Daniel had been arrested. The police tape was gone, but the smell of smoke lingered. Under the ashes in the fireplace, I found what I'd left, the charred metal box. Inside it, barely intact, was the recorder. I pressed play. Static, then my own voice. If you find this, detective, it's all here. What he did to Lily, what he's done to me. Then another voice, mine again, only lower, unsteady. You shouldn't have gone there. The recorder had caught both of us that night, except there wasn't a both. I'd been alone when I pressed record. The sound of Daniel's voice I remembered was gone. The only voice on the tape was mine, arguing with myself. I drove straight to the jail. Ramirez met me in the hall outside the visiting room. He's gone, he said. Transferred early this morning, another facility. Can I see him? He hesitated. Claire, there was an incident. He tried to. He stopped. He left a statement for you. A single envelope, inside. I didn't kill Lily. I loved her, but I think you already know who did. I folded it once, twice, until the paper cut my palm. That evening I went back to Lily's grave one last time. The air was heavy, the sky the color of steel. I remember now, I whispered. It wasn't supposed to happen. You were leaving and I couldn't let you destroy everything. A crow landed on the stone, tilting its head, the only witness. I blamed him because I couldn't face it, I said, because he loved you and I couldn't stand that. I placed the card beside her name and turned away. For the first time in months, the world was silent. Epilogue. 3 weeks later, Ramirez visited my house. We closed the case, he said. Officially, Daniel's confession matched the evidence. I smiled. Then it's over. He nodded, but he didn't look convinced. Strange thing, though, the confession tape, part of it's blank, like someone recorded over it. After he left, I opened the drawer where the recorder lay. The red light still blinked. I hadn't turned it off since that night. I pressed play. My name is Claire Harper. I'm finally free. Then a pause, and another voice, whisper-soft, unmistakable, Lily's. Are you? The recording cut to static. Outside, the wind shifted. For a second, I thought I heard footsteps on the porch. When I looked, the doormat was wet with fresh rain, and a single white rose lay across it.